there are just a few days left for the finance minister to present the union budget, and all eyes are on whether the government can announce certain measures in order to kickstart growth. We just had the IMF last week sharply lowering India's growth forecast for this fiscal to 4.8%, down from 6.1% just 3 months ago. Significantly, though, the IMF has said that India's slowdown is also dragging down global economic growth. So is the budget going to be that answer to India's problems? Joining us now, Sangita Reddy, the president of FICCI, one of the key chambers of commerce in the country. Sangita Reddy, thank you for joining us on NDTV this evening. If you had 2 things that you expected the finance minister, or you really want the finance minister to do, or 3 things, what's your wish list?
So clearly, I think this is something we've said before, that it's important to put money in the hands of India, especially rural India. So this move, I think, would be facilitated by a greater raising of capital. And it is always said that people should worry about the fiscal deficit. But considering the current situation, FICCI's recommendation is that the government should not worry too much about a slight and temporary expansion of the fiscal deficit if they need to raise the money and put this money in the hands of rural India especially to spur consumption. This incentive to spur consumption will have a ripple effect on the growth of the economy. We also in the same breath say that this should be accompanied by a well-planned and well-timed time-bound program on disinvestment. This disinvestment strategy would complement the overall strategy of putting more money into the people's hand, with at the same time not lowering the ratings of the country, because we have the capability to pay back this money.
Well,
this, I think, is the one first and significant.
Right, you mentioned disinvestment.
There are 2 others.
Before I come to that, because you mentioned disinvestment, and
yes.
I just wanted to come in there because you have the government now making it its intent clear that it wants to sell off all of Air India. What do you think of that move to sell off the airline?
So I think there are a series of things that can be done in that realm of disinvestment. In the 30 seconds we have right now, it wouldn't be appropriate, but portions of it, a methodology to do it, many other important assets, partially can definitely be considered. But the fact is that disinvestment is an important agenda. It has to be done in a time-bound and effective manner, which is complementary to the country, the government and the economy, and this can be done.
So you welcome the announcement on Air India? You think that that's the right way to go?
I think efficiency of a national asset is crucial. I believe that there are multiple areas which productivity can be enhanced. And I also believe that India deserves to have a national airline that is one of the leading airlines in the world. So a combination of these, the writing is on the wall. But coming back to the other 2, I think, important sectors, I think agriculture is something that significantly needs focus, and a combination of a series of moves, whether it's in terms of policy, the incentives which are being given, the methodology in which those are done, the water policy of the country. We need a well-calibrated, well-thought-through, unified, comprehensive agriculture policy. This is important to get this engine ticking.
Can I though ask one question here, because
Before I
come to the third thing, T.N. Nainan wrote a very interesting piece the other day, in a sense saying that perhaps we expect too much from the budget. Perhaps we, lay too many expectations at the finance minister's doorstep. Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
So I would actually say 2 things. Number one, I think just seeing the momentum and the trend, that the slowdown is clearly happening, but the potential for India on the global stage is significant. If you put these 2 factors in conjunction with the fact that, the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister have had a series of meetings, the timing seems to be that we should expect something exciting from the budget. Having said that, I would also like to say that I think reforms have been a continuous process. The corporate taxation relaxation happened a few months ago, various other moves, the identification of focus sectors, all these have been happening continuously. So the budget is not the only time, but it's a significant time to make impact on the economy.
All right. You have one more area where you said you'd like to put on your wish list for the budget. You've mentioned putting money in the hands of people, particularly rural India, disinvestment and a comprehensive agricultural policy. What is the third?
So I think the third is clearly to find mechanisms in which we increase India's savings. Household savings, which were one of the strengths of India, has been going down at 17.5%. We must find incentives, whether it's enhancing the cap of the 1.5 lakh saving is exempt, taking that up to maybe 3%. I think that's important.
Right.
But just finding a way to catalyze and to take the entire country into this positive track. And just half a second to take my last one, which may be the fourth, but actually runs across all sectors, and that is information technology, artificial intelligence. The convergence of the new technologies all over the world are really changing business as we know it and changing the way we live and the way the world will look. It's important for India to hitch ourselves onto that wagon of transformation, of convergence of technologies, of science and of innovation.
So can I ask you though that, given that the growth outlook right now isn't great, the IMF has just downgraded us last week sharply by more than 1% in 3 months. What is your outlook? Honestly, do you think that the next year or so will continue to be tough before it picks up? What is your outlook?
See, while it has been said that there are a few green shoots showing here and there, I do realize and I think that the outlook of the overall economy, the industry's view and FICCI's view as well, is that there is work to be done. The potential of India is great. We overall in a 12 to 18 month have a very positive outlook, but the next 3 to 6 months need some hard work to be done, some hard questions to be answered as well.
All right, Sangita Reddy, thank you very much for joining us, the President of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI, joining us there with what FICCI hopes the budget will bring us. Thank you.